Brilliant. Right, let's do a podcast. Hello, welcome to FRUK Unwrapped, the Food Review UK podcast. I am Stuart, and I am joined today, this week, tonight, in the present tense, by a man who is beefier than the bastard offspring of Space Raiders and Monster Munch combined. It's Nathan Peterson.
My, that's a beautiful introduction, isn't it?
I've tried my best. How are you doing, mate?
I'm very good. As you can hear, I'm
on the moon.
Yeah, I'm on the moon. Yeah,
yep.
It's tried to improve my circumstances and only made them worse. So.
Regular listeners may have noticed that Nathan Peterson has substantially upgraded his audio equipment, and that has involved a space trip. I am also joined by a man who is back from a mystery illness which may or may not have been contracted from eating human flesh in a vain attempt to go viral. It's Michael Jamieson.
I'll have you know those two things are of no relation to each other whatsoever, actually.
How are you feeling, mate?
I'm much better now. I'm very, very angry about the last show, though, I have to say.
Why? What? We did not say anything untrue or unfair.
You guys were all, like, sort of just making out that, he's a bit under the weather, or he doesn't feel up to it. I had a fucking chest infection.
Have you got a doctor's note?
I went to the doctor, like, twice. Or once.
Can you not remember? It must have been a bad infection if you had a fever.
Well,
remember.
I went 2 days on the trot because the second time was about my RSI.
Oh my God! Oh, and did he tell you need to stop?
Is that like a wanking implication?
Yep.
Yeah, no, I didn't mention it. Although I didn't mention how much I did it, so.
God. Oh dear. Well, I thought MJ was going to be on his best behaviour tonight because we're joined by a very special guest. He's a professional broadcaster. He's serving out a community service order by slumming it on FRUK Unwrapped. He's the host of the Blue Moon podcast. He's the media executive of Oldham Athletic Football Club. He is Sam Roscoe. Sam, how are you doing, mate?
What have I got myself into? Good evening.
Good evening. I'm sure that the executive team and the management team of Oldham Athletic are listening intently as you appear on a podcast in which a man talks about causing repetitive strain injury through furious masturbation.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to that coffee in the morning.
Brilliant. Well, for those people who might not be familiar with Sam is the host, or one of the hosts, of the Blue Moon podcast, which is a Man City podcast. He's a good northern boy. I mean, I think, I sold Sam to the other lads as being a great professional broadcaster, but really what I wanted to do was even up the score and get another northerner on against these two professional southerners that we usually have. But for the benefit of those people like Nate and Michael who've never met Sam before, Sam, I would like to start off today by asking you some random food and drink questions. And what I need you to do, mate, is to give me 3 numbers between 1 and 10.
Okay. Bring it on.
Go on, then.
Number 4.
Number 4, Sam. What is the sexiest fruit or vegetable?
Grapefruit.
Really?
Yeah, have you never seen that? Have you never seen that video on YouTube? Just type in grapefruit on YouTube. It's an experience. It's an experience.
Is it safe for MJ after his recent doctor's appointment?
Yeah, you might need to book another appointment for tomorrow. It's a viral video from an American lady who she's some sort of like sex aid or something like that for people, and she uses a grapefruit in some form. I'm sure you can use to your imagination.
Oh dear.
I do remember this video, actually. I remember it.
As soon as you said sex and fruit, that was the one thing that popped up. Not from personal experience. Literally popped up.
Hey. Go on, give us another number then.
Number 8, please.
Number 8. If you were a food, what would you be?
Oh, you could have prepped me before with all this. Pizza. It's got to be pizza. Everybody, has their own sort of idea of pizza, and mine's just a massive one. Massive,
cheesy, greasy.
Yeah, that's it.
Covered in meat. Yeah. Right. Wow. Final number, please, Sam.
Number 2.
Number 2. Do you have a sweet tooth or a savoury tooth?
Oh, depend. You know what? I think it depends on what time it is in the day.
Go on.
And what I've done during the day. So if I've had a really long day and I just want to chill out, then I'll go for savoury stuff. Whereas if I've had like a busy, I've been out and about and stuff like that, and with friends, etc., then I'll probably go for some sweet stuff. But at the minute, I am obsessed with sweet and salty popcorn. So I'm on the fence. I'm on the fence for that question.
Literally the perfect on the fence food. It's a funny one, isn't it? Like, if you've had a day on the... is there anyone who, after having a few drinks, having a day on the beers or whatever, fancies something sweet?
No.
MJ,
you're a big drinker. What about you?
Yeah, after I've had a day on the beers, I like nothing more than to sit down with a large sort of hot curry beer.
You're just such an absolute lad, though, aren't you? So
I'm just the laddest.
Absolute madness. Right, well, before we get on to our topic that we brought Sam here to discuss, has anyone got any food news?
I'll tell you what, this is probably the biggest food news day we've had on the podcast.
Go on, then.
I got 3 things.
Wow.
I got 3 relatively sized things. I think I'll go in order of size. First of all, Fox's, the Glacier Sweet Company, are going to be celebrating their 100th anniversary shortly. They're going to be releasing 2 new flavours. One is limited edition, one I believe is just a new flavour. The new flavour is spearmint variety.
Wow.
Mild and sweeter taste profile.
Well, how do they think of these crazy flavours? Oh.
And the second one is a tropical edition, which comes with, what is it? I've got it right here. Passion fruit and mango, pineapple, and coconut.
Are you excited about this?
Oh.
Yeah, the coconut one's weird, isn't it? I'm sort of excited. I'm more excited about the spearmint, to be honest. This one's quite interesting. I think this will be of particular interest to Nate, actually. AG Bar are teaming up. I believe they're teaming up for an import deal with Bundaberg.
Oh, hello, Saucy.
Yeah, now there's 2 flavours of Bundabergs already fairly readily available in the UK. Certainly Tesco stock the root beer and the ginger beer.
Yeah.
But AG Bar, I believe, are going to be importing 6 flavours, so including those 2, they're also going to be importing the lemon, lime and bitters, the pink grapefruit, the peach and the blood orange. I think the only one we've not actually tried on the show is the blood orange.
Cool.
Actually, the 2 original flavours as well. What?
That's a fairly big deal for bars, I suppose, isn't it?
Yeah, it's quite good, isn't it?
Yeah.
And I suppose probably the biggest news, we've just done a bloody news video for this one. Walkers are going to be celebrating their 70th anniversary with 6 flavours of like popular meal dishes, recipes throughout the years of Britain.
Could you try and say that so it makes sense?
Oh, it's a great sentence, mate. I think it was explicitly clear and there was nothing wrong with it whatsoever.
Haven't Walkers done very similar things to that in the past?
Oh, mate, these are all flavours that they've pretty much done before. There's coronation chicken, roasted lamb and mint.
Lovely.
Cheese fondue.
Oh!
Chicken.
Cheesy.
Yeah. Chicken tikka masala. Barbecue rib.
Yeah.
And sweet chili.
I'll be totally honest with you, I'd be really disappointed if the chicken tikka masala one didn't give you the shits in the morning.
Depends how many facts you have, I suppose.
I imagine that every single one of those will just taste like an existing crisp.
Yeah.
Oh, 100%.
None of them are going to be like mind blowing, are they? I mean, although I do like, I'm intrigued by a rib flavour crisp. I think the only rib flavour crisp I've ever had would be the Knick-Knacks.
Oh yeah,
rib and saucy.
They used to do rib, didn't they? I'm sure they used to do barbecue rib flavour anyway.
Yeah, I think they did. I think they did. I find that Walkers phone it in with their core brand, Walkers.
Yeah.
Admittedly, when they did their British one last year, was it, or the year before, when they did like 6 flavours, there was 1 or 2 in there that were quite unique, I say unique, they sort of actually nailed the flavours fairly well. Weirdly enough, I'm sure one of them had cucumber in, and you could actually taste the cucumber. So,
oh yeah, that was the sandwich flavours, yeah.
Yeah, that was it, the sandwich flavours. So they do sometimes do it, but I agree, they are fairly lazy, but I imagine that's what happens when you've just cornered the market and you don't want to give a shit about your consumers anymore.
Yeah. Just destroy every other crisp brand, completely monopolise the market, and then make it awful. Yeah. Scum, absolute scum. I don't think that'll be the only time Walkers gets mentioned tonight either, which I'm disappointed at now that I hate them. I've just completely changed. Gary Lineker completely changed my opinion of Walkers in the last 3 minutes because I'm so fickle. Has anyone else got any news?
I saw on the Daily Mail website earlier today that Burger King have announced a new burger. It's called the Bacon King Burger. It comes with 2 patties, double cheese, and 8 slices of bacon.
That sounds enough. That sounds like enough bacon.
Yes.
But the thing is, whenever I absolutely love Burger King, but the one thing that really frustrates me with a bacon double cheeseburger is that the bacon on the burger is naff. It's really rubbish. It's like they're really poor. So I think 8 should just about do it.
In what way poor? Not enough of it, or just that it's so
it's just so tiny,
thin,
isn't it? It's really
so
thin. It's not, you don't. It's sort of like trying to rip off American bacon, innit? And it's not really. It doesn't do it. Interestingly as well, one thing that I did pick up from that story was it contains half a woman's recommended daily intake, which is
daily intake of what?
Of calories.
Oh right.
Of bacon.
But that's one for trying.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, and if you're a woman, just have 2, and then you're done for the day. Save time.
1 for lunch, 1 for dinner.
Yeah, top tip for women there. 2 of them a day, then you don't have to waste any more time eating.
Efficiency.
Yeah, correct.
That's it. Yeah, you get back in the lesser podcast would make. No, lesser podcast would make a sexist joke there. Not me. Not the week after International Women's Day.
They don't need to go back in the kitchen, mate. They've been to Burger King.
Well, they've got cleaning to do, and I never said that, Nathan. I know. No, actually, Nate, if that is your name, I was going to say, get back in the lab where they're curing cancer and stuff.
Bacon-related cancer.
Yeah.
Oh man. No, that does sound good. I mean, I will never try it because I'm banned from Burger King, but it does sound good. Have you got any news, Nate? Any news?
Nothing particularly interesting stood out.
Is the moon made of cheese?
Wensleydale. There's a weird northern guy and his dog walking around here.
There's a massive debate as well in the news at the minute about Chinese takeaways. And if with a salt warning. As people who, focus their attention around food when it comes to podcasting, what is your opinion of that?
I think MJ said it quite concisely there. Fuck off.
Oh, there's salt in Chinese food, is there? Oh, fuck. Is there water in a fucking tap?
I mean, it is proper salty, but, I'm not eating Chinese takeaways even once a week. And I'm not a particularly health-conscious person. I mean, if you're going eating any kind of takeaway on a regular basis, it's not good for you. Chinese takeaways are so salty. Everyone knows it. You have a Chinese takeaway, you wake up in the middle of the night and you feel like you've drank 1 million pints of beer. You're so dehydrated. Well, unless you're doing it, I mean, even if you're doing it once a week, it's salt, innit? What? You give me an example of a person who's ever been harmed by ingesting too much white powder. Other than Richard Pryor. I thought that was a better joke than the reaction.
Anything I've ever said.
Yeah, disappointing. No, it is. If anyone's surprised by the fact that Chinese food has got a lot of salt in it, or Chinese takeaways have got a lot of salt in them, they deserve salt poisoning.
Yeah,
Said it.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
What are they suggesting? That there's just a bland sort of like warning on every Chinese takeaway that says may contain. Like, what's the alternative? Like every menu has the nutritional advice for every single dish on the fucking menu. I mean, what is? Or
a sign in the window of every Chinese takeaway. I don't know. I mean, it's
salty.
Salty. It wouldn't. It's not. It was not going to be practical to. I mean, what do you do? Once all this dies down, are they going to stick a? You can't stick a health warning on the packaging like you've done with cigarettes. So what are you going to do? You can't. Can you force a business to put a big sign up in their window saying our products are full of salt? I imagine that the hope is that by doing it and by putting this putting the spotlight on it, they might force some Chinese takeaways to reduce the salt content of the food. But
it would get too confusing, wouldn't it? Oh, how many milligrams of salt in there? Oh, how many grams of salt are there in number 23? Oh, 12. Well, hang on, what fucking number is it now?
Great.
See, because that joke relates to Chinese restaurants. Yeah, they number their dishes, don't they?
Yeah.
Sam, are you regretting coming on this podcast now?
Not at all.
Good. Let's move on. Then before you start regretting it. So it's because Sam comes to us from the world of football, big football fan. He's been very, very lucky that through his career in the media, he's been able to get jobs in football, which I suppose must be pretty much the dream. You know, you've wanted to be a broadcaster for as long as I've known you, and you've achieved that. And not only have you achieved it, but you've achieved it within football, and certainly with your podcast within the club that you've always loved. So, with Sam being here, we thought we would talk about the collision between football and sport and the world of food. And to start us off on that, I think we should probably have some quivia, Nathan Peterson.
Why not have a little bit of quivia? So I've taken a slight detour. I think we're probably going to start talking about maybe some foods that we've had at sporting events and things like that. But what I've tried to do is obviously sportsmen and women, of course, International Women's Day last week, as MJ said, sports stars are involved in a lot of endorsements. So why not have a look at some of the food endorsements that they've done over the years? So, question 1. 3 huge sports stars, 3 huge fast food joints. Can you name which one has advertised which? So
this is like League of Their Own. This bit where they have the 3 with you instead of James Corden. I don't know which is worse.
A much funnier fat man than James Corden.
And more successful.
Well, yeah. 3 stars: David Beckham, LeBron James, and Cristiano Ronaldo.
Easy.
Go on then, Michael.
Next.
So the 3 joints are KFC, Burger King, and McDonald's. Which has advertised which? 1 point for each correct answer. I will start with our guest, Sam.
I think I'm going to start with Burger King because I've already mentioned Burger King, and I'm hoping that people at Burger King will probably listen to this and say we should probably give him some vouchers. So I'm going to say Cristiano Ronaldo for Burger King. And the only reason I'm saying this is because whenever I've been over to Spain, whenever I've been fortunate enough to watch football over in Spain, that there's always a Burger King fairly near. And that's like a ritual of mine in the airport, getting a Burger King. So that's the only reason why I'm going for Ronaldo and Burger King.
Okay. So what about the other 2?
LeBron James and KFC.
Okay.
And Beckham and
McDonald's. Oh, racist.
Okay.
That's a shame. That's a shame.
Oh.
It was all going so well for me.
Oh, Stuart, dig us out of the hole, mate.
Oh, I'm third, am I?
Burger King, LeBron, KFC, Beckham, McDonald's, Cristiano Ronaldo.
Okay, and Mr. Michael Jameson.
Cool, this is fascinating. I think we're all going different. Lebron Chamise is Burger King. I'm relatively confident on that one.
That's what I said, so.
David Beckham, McDonald's.
That's what I said as well, so.
Wait, no, you didn't.
No, I didn't. I said KFC. Yeah, all right.
Fucking hell, mate. Cristiano Ronaldo, KFC.
MJ showing his immaculate sport knowledge there. With 1 point.
Oh.
0 points for the other two guys. Yeah, David Beckham in 2012, I believe it was, advertised a fruit smoothie at Burger King. LeBron James had a very lucrative deal with McDonald's, which has actually ended recently. And Cristiano Ronaldo is the face of KFC in Japan.
Wow.
Well then.
There you go. Tiger Woods is currently sponsored by which energy drink? Let's go with MJ, seeing he's leading.
I think I'll go Red Bull.
Red Bull for MJ.
Although I will say that more traditionally, Monster is a very popular sponsor of sort of the more extreme sports like monster trucks, golf, and Red Bull tends to be sort of your motorsports, like your monster trucks.
Like Tiger Woods is involved in.
Like your monster trucks or your golf, yeah. God.
Well, there's caddies in there.
Sam, have you got an answer?
I'm thinking American market with sport, because mainly, golf's pretty much American, isn't it? All the tours played over there. I initially thought Gatorade, but I've not seen them do any advertising for ages. So I'm going to go Monster, just because that might be a.
Oh,
I'm going to copy you, MJ. I'm just going to.
Even though they're generally involved in monster trucks.
Yeah, I think they're going to. I think they're branching out.
Okay, Stuart.
Right, hang on. So what? So some you went for Monster.
Yeah.
All right. Is Gatorade classed as an energy drink?
Yeah, definitely.
Because I don't think I'm struggling for other things that might have the profile of Red Bull or Monster. I don't think Rockstar has the profile, does it?
No, it's quite big.
Is it?
Yeah,
Is it big enough to sponsor? Is it big enough to sponsor Tiger Woods?
Oh God, yeah, it's massive.
Or what about Carabao? Everyone's favourite.
I'm not sure if that's in America, actually.
I'm going to go Gatorade. Gatorade, just to throw a spanner in the works.
I do like that. That is a cheeky shout. Yeah.
Mm. Stuart, 2 for 2 there, or 0 for 2. The correct answer is Monster Truck supporting Monster Energy. It has sponsored him since 2016, and the logo features on his bag. Monster is partially owned by Coca-Cola, and he had previously been sponsored by Gatorade, who are owned by Coke's competitors PepsiCo. Who would have thought that Tiger Woods wouldn't stay loyal? Right, question 3.
Yeah, or I was going to go with, Monster on his bag, Monster as a personality. So.
Brilliant.
When it comes to cheating on women.
Speaking of drinks, the English Football League Cup has been sponsored by 5 different drinks.
Actually, I think I know some of these.
Yeah.
1 point for each guess.
Yeah.
3 guesses each. We're going to go round robin, 1 guess at a time. Let's go with Stuart to start this time.
How many can I say?
You can only do 1 at a time.
Right, milk.
Milk is correct. That's 1 point for Stuart. Sam.
Worthingtons.
Oh!
That is a point for Sam. Michael Jameson.
He hasn't got a chance. He hasn't got a chance.
This is probably wrong, but I do know... The fact that this wasn't the answer in the first 2 makes me think that this isn't true. But this is a cup. The Carling Cup.
He's done it!
That counts.
Is that it? Oh my fucking God, look at that.
Technically Molson Coors, but Carling Cub is what he was known as.
I'm a football lad.
You football lad.
Back to Stuart. 2 more to get.
I mean, I don't know. I can't imagine that Sam's not going to know both of them. So I'll leave him with the more recent one, and I'll have Coca-Cola.
Yeah. 1 for Stuart. And Sam?
Carabao.
Yeah, correct. MJ, do you want to throw a drink in, even though you've got no chance of getting a point off of it?
Yeah, sorry, what's happened here? So those guys have both got a shot at 2 points, and just because I went last, I get one when I'm already handicapped because I'm a non-lad. Brilliant.
Well, they might have got one of them wrong, so...
Milk.
That's right. 0 points.
Just before we have the next question, just to explain to Sam... MJ's complete non-football laddishness. I don't know whether you know this, but Nate Peterson, big Man United fan. Sam, you're a big Man City fan. I'm a big Bradford City Sam. Michael Jamieson, do you just want to tell Sam what football team you support?
I don't know if you know this actually, but so I used to support for a very long time. I used to support West Brom. However, I've now this season I've sort of changed things up a bit. They didn't really do it for me last season, so I've sort of got about 5 teams now. Quite like Bournemouth. I like Southampton. Like a bit of Fulham. Forest Green really are sort of the main ones because of their kit. Pompey are all right. They're okay. Tranmere Rovers just because of the name. You know, a lot of people ask me, did you watch the match last night? Oh, did I watch the Manchester City match? You know, when you're looking at it, you must have been about 10 minutes in. David Silva performs some sort of wizardry with his feet and he scores a goal. You know, you're looking at it, we enter the second half and a mere 5 minutes into it, there he is again, David Silva, scoring another goal. And then you look towards the end of the match, getting on towards the end. People like Joe Allen are picking up yellow cards. So don't come to me about about football.
Incredible knowledge. I was under the impression that you were an MK Dons fan.
Oh yeah, they're all right. They're quite local.
I think my favourite thing about that, apart from the fact that he supports pretty much every team, is that he's got almost the entire South Coast covered. You've basically ruled out Brighton, but you love Bournemouth, Southampton, and Portsmouth, which it's almost unforgivable in itself supporting more than one of those.
I do quite like Brighton.
Brilliant. Should we get back to the quivia then?
Oh yeah. Question 4. In 1997, which retired global superstar opened a now closed steakhouse called 160 Blue in Chicago? Let's start with MJ because he's...
Oh, come on.
Such a dickhead. Let's start with MJ now that we've got a fucking impossible one. The last question was name a drink. Or at least I fucking know the names of some drinks. One of the answers was fucking milk. And now it's, name a sports star, preferably Chicago, and he might play for a blue team. Jesus Christ. I don't know.
Just before you answer, Sam Stewart, don't give anything out. Do you think you have an idea of who this might be?
Yeah, easy, innit?
Sam? Don't say it, but
I could take a stab in the dark. That's where I'm at the minute.
Okay.
All right, I'll take a stab in the dark. Cregan Phelps.
Yeah. Okay, you get 10 points for pronouncing it perfectly.
I'll be honest, I didn't think that'd be.
Let's go to Sam next then, seeing he's going to have a stab.
I'm going to have a stab in the dark and say Pele.
Pele, okay. In which case we're down to Stuart.
Have you lost the plot, Sam?
I honestly, I've no.
Surely,
people who listen to the Blue Moon podcast will know that my memory is terrible. I barely remember what I had for dinner last night, let alone what happened in the match gone at the weekend, which is pretty poor from me considering I do a City podcast every other week, and I'm required to talk about football that has happened in the past. But
and you've just admitted on a food podcast you can't remember what you had for breakfast.
Wee.
Surely the answer we're looking for is the highest earning sportsman ever, with a net earning of $1.9 billion over his career.
Craig and Phelps.
Michael Jordan.
Oh.
Michael Jordan is Stuart's answer. Yes, you're correct. It's the best MJ to ever feature on this podcast, Michael Jordan. The restaurant closed its doors in 2012. However, if you really wish to have a Jordan-themed night out, you can still visit Michael Jordan's Steakhouse or 23 Sport Cafe or Sol Toro or Michael Jordan's restaurant. So he's not doing too bad, right? So that's 1 for Stuart and 0 for the other lads. Right, last question.
Another way to have a Jordan night out is to hit Dwight York up and see if he'll pass on his little black book.
I feel like Dwight York is mentioned on every single podcast somehow.
I do bring him up a lot, don't I?
You do. Is he your hero?
I love Dwight York, yeah. Yeah.
All right. Now for the real sportsmen and women. In 1991, a vanilla-flavoured star-shaped cereal called WWF Superstars was released.
Yes.
There were 4 box variants featuring 2 single wrestlers and a tag team.
Brilliant.
1 point for every wrestler you can name. 5 points if you can name the 5th variant cover, which was never released.
What year was this?
1991.
91, right. 2 years before Sam was born.
For those that aren't necessarily wrestling fans, these are, at least 2 of these are huge names of the wrestling world.
And I'm going first, am I?
I'm going to let you go first, MJ, because you're...
Hey, bonus points. Okay, so Hulk Hogan's got to be one of them.
Okay.
I'm going to say Macho Man.
Ooh, shout.
So that's 2. So there's a bonus unreleased and then a tag team, yeah?
Yeah, there's a tag team, and then there's a bonus unreleased. I will let you know that the bonus unreleased was also a tag team.
Oh, fuck. Okay. Because I was going to say Bret the Hitman Hart, so not that.
Too early for Bret Hart.
Right, okay. I do need a hand here. What was the name of the guys with the red armour with the black spikes?
Legion of Doom.
Legion of Doom. And I'll go for I don't know another tag team, really, so I'll just say Shaman and... no, it's too early for Undertaker and Kane, but that's obviously too early
for... Craig and Phelps.
Don't be ridiculous, mate. He didn't get into wrestling until 1999.
Shaman and Phelps, okay. Sam, would you like to have a stab?
I think one of them's definitely got to be Hulk Hogan. The only, like Stuart said, it's way before my time, but my sister was a massive wrestling fan as well. So another one that springs to mind from that era was it The Ultimate Warrior?
Oh, shout that!
Yeah, very colourful. Yeah,
and
I think that could be a goer there.
I'm gonna have to pass for the rest. I won't know where to start.
Okay, pass and pass. Okay, Stuart.
Right, I'm going to go for Hulk Hogan.
Yeah.
I'm going to go for The Undertaker.
Oh.
I'm going to go for the tag team as being the Legion of Doom.
Yeah.
The big names.
And I'm going to go for the unused tag team as the Nasty Boys.
Oh, yeah. You bastard. That was, yeah, that's what I was thinking.
I think that might have been a bit too early for the Nasty Boys. But anyway. So... not a bad attempt. You all got 2 points. The actual correct answers were Hulk Hogan, which you all got. The Ultimate Warrior, which Sam got. Legion of Doom, which MJ got.
Yeah.
And the unused variant was the Bushwhackers.
As if they were awful.
Bushwhackers, I've given them a Google.
Bo and Luke, Australian themed, terrible wrestlers. But hilarious, yeah.
Known for being terrible. That was their shtick, essentially.
Yeah.
That's probably why they didn't make the cut on the cereal, because people might get the wrong impression about the cereal being terrible.
I've just located the image.
Does it look amazing?
I mean, I wouldn't buy that cereal.
It's probably out of date, to be fair.
Yeah, it's. I'm looking at that. They're just not serial personalities.
which one's the Bushwhackers?
Yeah,
they had about 10 teeth combined. It's probably not a good thing to be selling your sugary cereal with.
Yeah, that's it. And Vanilla Stars doesn't particularly macho.
Okay. So that's the end of Quivia. Stuart and Sam draw, tie, with 5 each. MJ trailing behind with 4. If only he got that extra question on the drinks, but he didn't so far.
No, I thought you awarded me a point for correctly remembering that Stuart said milk.
Listen back to the podcast and you'll find out, mate. Thank you,
Nathan. That I reckon was probably the best Quivia you've ever done.
No, piss off.
No, I reckon so. I'm putting this out there, and I think that was the best Quivia. The best Quivia that you... Sorry. The best Quivia that you've ever done.
Oh, I see what you're doing.
Yeah.
We'll do it again next week, then.
Yeah, same questions.
Yeah.
Nice one. Right, so on to the topic in hand. We are here to talk about sporting connections, football connections to food. Now, I know I've got a few little stories to tell. But before we get on to kind of personal stories and that kind of thing, before we get on to personal stories, I'm literally about to ask you personal stories. What are our stadium and our sporting events winners and losers in terms of food? Either general kind of food items or specific food items that you've had at sporting events. Obviously not you, Michael, because you've never been to a sporting event.
Well, hold the fucking phone. I've got experience of at least 2 that I remember.
Right, go on then. We'll start with you then, Big Mouth.
Ooh, all right. So actually, I've got quite. They're almost polar opposite experiences. The less recent one was about a year or 2 ago. Mark, my brother-in-law, and I went to the Rugby World Cup at MK Dons Stadium. Actually, in fact, both of these things were at the same place. And they were polar opposites. Yeah, interesting. So we went there, and I think because it was such a heavily... Well, actually, yeah, I can tell you the exact reason. Because obviously it was such a heavily attended and a monument... Is it fair to say monumentous?
I mean, that's not a word, but you can say it if you want, yeah.
Monumentous is... Oh, monumental.
Yeah, or momentous, yeah. You make up your own words, man. It's fine.
It was a big deal. It was a big thing. So they had quite a lot of caterers there. And funnily enough, one of the caterers there was a burger van who one of the workers, I don't know if she owned it, but anyway, she was one of my sister's best friends and by extension also knew Mark. So we went down to her van and she sorted us out a couple of free burgers and they were really tasty burgers. They have some tasty burgers. Yeah, really nice burger, just classic burger van style burger, very nice and juicy. Probably the best burger van burger I've had, I guess. I don't dislike them normally though, to be fair. So yeah, that was really nice, and it was free, so can't complain about that. So that was my nice experience. I know it's not necessarily the most traditional of things because obviously football pie lads and all that. But the second time was when I went more recently. I think it was towards the end of last year. Me and some pals, some football lad chums, went to MK Dons. It was a friendly match, and I can't even fucking remember who they were playing. Leicester. They were playing Leicester, friendly match. I was quite excited because I was like, oh yeah, hopefully we'll see Vardy, blah, blah, blah. Nah, mate. No drink water, no Vardy, none of the names I'd heard of. The match was 0-0. It was an absolute washout. And I had a burger to tide me over before we went to Nando's. I had a burger and it was just from the little MK Dons built-in sort of microwave station thing. And it was just a fucking dreadful burger.
Oh, mate. It sounds like you had... It's no wonder you don't like football. It sounds like you had a horrible experience.
That was a bloody dull match.
So, in terms of your experience then, you would say that rugby food is better than football food?
Correct. Yeah, correct. I have been to some actual good football matches, like Manchester United Ajax, and I've seen Manchester United twice. I can't remember who they played the second time. But I don't remember what I had for food. So that's it. That's my sum total contribution this episode. I'll see you later, guys. Carry on with the show.
Nice one. You must have like a much broader experience of stadium. I mean, you go to a lot more football than any of us, Sam. You travel abroad to follow City away. You work at a football stadium. So what are your experiences with winners and losers in terms of sporting event food?
So in terms of like stadium food, I think it from my personal experience, it sort of ranks in the same format that the leagues rank. So Premier League, Championship, League One, League Two, etc. So I'll give you an example of...
That's interesting. I like that.
I'll give you an example of a really good one. And I'm going back to quite recently to December. Manchester City, I can't remember who they were playing now, but they did like a few games around that time. They were doing a limited edition pie. And it was a chorizo and bean pie.
Wow.
And, you think football pie, you think meat and potato. Oh, this was very continental and it was lovely. It was a winter warmer from the Isles of España, and it was delightful. It really was. But then on the other hand, I also went to Home Park, where Plymouth Argyle play earlier. That was in December as well, actually, funnily enough.
That was Premiership as well, was it?
No, not quite. The finest League One action. Plymouth Argyle versus Oldham Athletic. It was a dreadful game. Oldham lost 4-1, I think it was, in the end. I wiped it from my memory. But I was working, so I didn't, we managed to get some free food given to us from the press room. But it was pretty much the same stuff that was on the concourse. And it was a pasty. And it was a meat and potato pasty, and it wasn't great. It was really dry. You think Cornish pasty, you think absolutely filled, but it was really, really not a nice experience.
Ooh. No, there's nothing worse than a dry, floppy pasty. No, on a cold Tuesday night in Plymouth. Bloody hell, awful. Have you got any food winners and losers, Nathan Peterson?
Not specifics, no. Sadly, it's been a while since I've been to any sporting venues. I did go to Fulham last year, but I didn't eat. But I'm sure I noticed that they had like a fucking nacho stall, which I just thought, I love nachos, but it's just not quite necessarily what I associate with football. So it is actually one of the questions I had was sort of how has the food, like Sam said there about the pie and the chorizo pie, is like how has the food evolved over the years? Because obviously, like you say, the stereotypical view of it is pies, maybe burgers, but have the grounds moved with the times and tried to implement new food to meet the continental side of fans, I guess, because people coming from all over the world to support these teams.
I think certainly at a more elite level, so you look at your Premier League teams, I think what they care about more, other than just the football for fans, is the match day experience. So you'll see, you'll see a lot of Premier League grounds with sort of like an outdoor area, possibly like a fans bar with pop-up caterers, burger vans. Sometimes they might have Christmas markets on, around Christmas time, have German stalls, etc. Which, when you think, you go into a football match, you don't necessarily think, oh, I know, let's go and get a bratwurst outside the stadium and go in and watch the football and have a mulled wine, etc. Whereas, you come down the divisions and it is much more about getting people through the gates, getting them to spend on the concourses, and not necessarily about, fancy limited edition pies, if you like.
It sounds very much like we're adopting. Isn't it the Americans that have the? Is it called tailgating or something like that?
Yeah.
Where they tend to have like these. I'm not going to say events, but they just all meet up outside the stadium before and after and during the actual game to have like barbecues and grills and things like that. It sounds like the food and certainly the whole experience is going beyond what's happening on the pitch, and like you say, they're trying to develop the whole day rather than just being the 90 minutes.
One thing I will say though, and I've mentioned this to a lot of friends actually. With working for Oldham now, obviously I see a lot more League One football and Premier League football. But when I go watching City, which unfortunately has been a rarity for me this season with work, but when I do go to watch City, overall I don't enjoy the matchday experience because of exactly what we've just said. But one thing that they have introduced, which I think is sort of doing the rounds amongst the Premier League teams, thinking, if they can get fans early to the ground, they can get them in quicker, they can get them spending quicker, buy more food, buy more drink, is what they've introduced is an hour between the gates opening and an hour, all drinks are £2.50. So you can get like a pint for £2.50, which is, unheard of at a modern football stadium these days. So that's something that is, is big thumbs up for me.
How much are the pints usually?
Depend on what you're looking at £4 minimum really. For a premium lager, it's about £4.50 at Manchester City,
and that's in the north.
Yeah,
yeah.
I genuinely though. I mean, if you went somewhere like the Emirates Stadium, I reckon you probably. Am I wrong? Would you be paying £7 or £8 a pint?
I would imagine.
I was going to say I have been to the Emirates, but it was a long time ago, and I can't really remember what was on the concourse. I just remember the game because we won. But I have been to Wembley recently, and it's very much the case there. It's ridiculous. The food's ridiculous as well. So you're looking at like a burger, chips, and a drink. You're looking at £15 at least, which is an absolute farce.
I've actually got someone from Arsenal Fan TV on my Skype. Let me see if I can patch him in now. Grevham, how much are the pints at the Emirates? All right, see you later, mate. That's an Arsenal Fan TV gag there.
Amazing. Well done.
That's very, I'm actually amazed that MJ's got that one.
Yeah. Well done. That was a good little bit, that. Well done, mate.
Very relevant.
Very much. I have been toying with the idea of doing like an Arsenal Fan TV parody video. Just to get a couple of my mates in like red jackets or Arsenal shirts, or whatever, to walk by in the background, just back and forth as like the extras, and then just be speaking to various Neanderthals.
Brilliant. Amazing. Good times.
No offence to any Arsenal fans listening. They're obviously a much better team than Forest Green.
Forest Green. I must admit I'm a bit like you, Nate, in that I don't. Most of the football that I've gone to, I don't think I've really eaten at football stadiums. But as far as I think that it's still very much a pies and burgers culture within the grounds. I do reckon there'll be a lot more, like Sam says, though. Like even going back to Bradford a few years ago, last time I went to Valley Parade, they had like a Balti pie and stuff like that. So there were slightly more interesting flavours. They were doing things, but it was still very much within the realms of a pie or a burger. When you look at the affordability surveys that they do for football, they price that up as your ticket, your programme, your cup of tea, and your pie. That's your day out, the cost of your day out. So I think it is still very much the norm. But I'm not, I'm not one for going for something to eat at a football match. It's never been a massive priority for me. When I was a kid, we used to take bits of food with us and what have you because my dad was tight. But I'm not sure I've ever actually gone and had a burger or a pie at a football match.
I'm not sure I've had one actually within the ground. I remember when I have been up to Old Trafford that my dad would have taken us to some sort of van that was like maybe located a mile away from the ground or something like that. So the prices weren't sort of ridiculous, but at the same time you're getting something to keep you warm for the rest of the day. But I'm not sure that I've ever bought within the ground.
What are the pies actually like? Are they? Because I sort of envision like a bird's eye sort of.
It's interesting actually because I wouldn't say football clubs necessarily, but I think football fans really pride themselves on the brand of pie that they have. So obviously there's a massive one's Holland's. There's also Pucker, which is a big one. But another one which, after having had many pies throughout football, throughout many quality of football as well, I have to say that Wright pies are the best. The Wright's chicken balti pie is a winner, and that I recently had that on Monday evening at Stoke City. They stock Wright's pies, and it's very, very tasty.
I've never heard of them. I know that when Delia got involved at Norwich, she had them. She got Holland's pies there. Mm-hmm. So for me, that was the sure sign of quality. That if Holland's is good enough for Delia, then it's good enough for me. I think there's a north-south divide generally with Holland's and Pucker. I think Pucker is more a southern pie.
I was going to say, I'm not sure I'm aware of Holland's, or certainly not as aware of it as Pucker.
Yeah, they're much better.
Oh.
You mentioned an interesting one there, Stu, like chef partnerships in football. So the Delia one in Norwich, obviously she's from there and stuff like that. That's an obvious one, but one that is coming to, I think it's the final year of the contract at the minute at City, is Jamie Oliver. So Jamie Oliver does the food there, and so the chorizo and bean pie, I think we have to credit with Jamie Oliver. But on another level as well, Oldham Athletic, the hospitality that they have there in the new North Stand is all designed. The food is designed by the 2015 MasterChef winner Simon Wood, and it's very delicious. So it's really interesting, partnerships and stuff like that. That throughout levels of football, it's really interesting to see stuff like that.
But that's in the hospitality then. That's for the people that are either being schmoozed or are paying for that expensive executive matchday experience, like a full restaurant meal.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. See, that's an interesting one. I mean, I don't know. It's not something that I reckon most football fans haven't done it. I did it once as a small boy at Elland Road. My dad was taken to an executive box at Elland Road to watch Bradford versus Leeds in like the 1987 season or whatever. And before that match, we went for a meal in the hospitality of the executive restaurant. But I can't. All I remember about that meal is that the dessert was rum bar. That's all, like, literally all I remember. Like a proper 80s meal, I can imagine. But I wonder, because a lot of football grounds now, it's not just corporate sponsorship that's using that. They open that up as a package. You can buy it for someone as a birthday present, and it's often pretty reasonable, I think. Like, to get one of those match day packages.
Yeah, I think certainly for a football club, and financially, I think matchday hospitality is one of the main sort of, no pun intended, but breadwinners, if you like. And one thing as well is that's recently coming to the floor with elite teams, looking at Premier League teams in particular. Again, I'll make reference to City, is that they have so many different levels of hospitality. So, you have your basic sort of hospitality 2-course meal in I think it's called the Legends Suite or something like that. You have to buy your drinks and stuff like that, but it's a sort of smart, casual environment. You'll be greeted by one of the former players at your table who'll go around all the other tables, but then you go up a level, and then it's like a free bar in a different suite, like the Mancunian suite or something like that. Then you've got your director's box at Manchester City, the Chairman's Club, I think it's called, which is the creme de la creme. And then on top of that, you have like your super executive whole new matchday experience, which is the Tunnel Club, which has got a lot of press recently just for how much it is there's a lot of speculation around actually how much it is because it's not something that they advertise, but there's rumours of it being like up to £2,000 a ticket. But you get to see the teams like in the tunnel through like glass. Apparently, a part of the package is the analysts will deliver a pre-match sort of team talk about how he's going to play the system, etc., and you'll have a meal and stuff. But the levels of hospitality at football games now are incredible, really. You look at Spurs' brand new stadium there, they're talking about all different levels of hospitality as well. Whereas, you go to somewhere like sportsdirect.com Park at Oldham, and it's, it's sit down, have a 3-course meal, watch the game in the padded seats, and come back into the game afterwards for the man of match presentation and have a few drinks and off you pop.
I was reading about that Manchester City hospitality package. There's the tunnel one, and then I think the one above that was called like the Gold Elite package or something. It was about £5,000 a ticket. I think you got everything that you get in the tunnel package, but after the match, Yaya Toure fillets you.
Well worth the money.
Oh, absolutely! I've already signed up for 3 weeks worth.
£5,000 in a birthday cake.
Well, they've got to give something for Yaya to do because he's not getting a game, is he? Poor Yaya.
Too busy dishing out blodging. Don't worry about the games, mate.
Oh dear. Have we got any other football ground or sporting event food and drink stories?
I wrote this down today because I knew I was obviously speaking to you guys, and it's a massive week for horse racing. Cheltenham's on the Cheltenham Festival.
Go on, we're not going to be talking about eating horses, are we?
No, not quite.
No.
We'll skirt around that scandal.
Yeah.
But the Cheltenham Festival, and there's a lot of news stories doing the rounds about the levels of consumption for food and drink, and some of the stats that I've plucked out for you are that 5 tons of cheese will be consumed this week in Cheltenham at the Cheltenham Festival alone. 5 tons of smoked and fresh salmon will be consumed, and 265,000 pints of Guinness will be drank this week from Tuesday to Friday. So it's not even a week. But
that is mad.
It just shows, doesn't it? The amount of food and drink in sport goes hand in hand.
Just think about the amount of gout that there's going to be in and around the Cheltenham area next week. Why so much Guinness? What is Guinness? Guinness seems to be synonymous with horse racing. I suppose there's a lot of Irish in horse racing, isn't there? But it's such a terrible beer. It's
a fairly limited menu as well. If you've only got cheese,
cheese
salmon, two types of salmon. 2 types of salmon, though. Come on.
Cake in a glass. You've got your starters with cheese. You've got your mains, your smoked and fresh salmon, and then for dessert, you've got a cake in a glass, a nice Guinness.
That's an insane amount of food.
This is only very vaguely related to sport, but I will say that on the first day, I think it was the first time that I saw Manchester United play live.
There's a lot of Manchester United stories, considering they're a team that you don't list on your exhaustive list of football clubs.
I did support them for a number of years when I was sort of a youngster, like a glory hunting person, I suppose.
All right, calm down.
Do that when you're young, don't you, and ignorant? No, so the first day I saw Manchester United was also the first day that I tried the popular Japanese restaurant Wagamama. And I didn't have chicken katsu curry, which I think was my mistake. I had I think it's called curry lemon or something, the quite fragrant coconutty noodle broth, and I didn't really like it that much. But I have had Wagamama a few times more recently, probably about 3 times in the last week, and I do enjoy it more now. I stick to the chicken katsu curry and the cherry hoisin duck wraps, and you have a lovely, lovely time.
Oh,
I don't know why there's so much laughter. I'm just talking about Wagamama, mate.
You're such an idiot.
I'm just talking about Wagamama, mate. You gotta get over it.
Don't know why you pronounce Wagamama's wrong all the time, though.
You fuck off with that. Do you not have Wagamama up north?
Yeah, we do. Yeah.
Well, they haven't in Manchester United, by the sound of it.
It's good. I like a Wagamama's. It's good.
Yeah, you like a Wagamama,
yeah. Oh, man.
You don't say Nando's is.
Oh, come on.
Do sometimes.
If you've got a catchphrase, you use it, don't you?
Yeah. If we learnt anything from Roy, what was his name?
Walker.
Catchphrase. Roy Walker. Do you know what I said earlier? It wouldn't be the only time we mention Walkers this podcast.
Hey!
Wasn't it? Hey. I've got a small anecdote to tell. This is regarding surprisingly beer and football. I've only ever left one football match before the final whistle. I pride myself on. I'm not one of these people who leaves early to catch to get an early start on the traffic or whatever. And the only time I ever left a football match, I went to watch Stockport County versus Solihull Moors in the Vauxhall Conference or whatever it's called now, the Vanarama League.
About beat the traffic on that one.
Yeah, This was about 3 seasons ago. The reason I was going to that match is that a mate of mine is from Solihull, and a load of them had come up to the match, so we said, we'll go. So we all met.
There were a few players short, so they asked you.
There were a few players, yeah, so I turned up because I'm an absolute legend. So we all met in the pub at about 12 o'clock, a few beers, made our way to Edgerton Park, the Stockport County ground, and went in the away end, the Solihull end. First of all, I was horrified that it was like 20 quid to get in to go and watch Vauxhall Conference football.
Jeez.
And I'd had a few beers by this point, so I was pretty like angry with the person on the turnstile. Like, I let them know how ridiculous I thought it was that I was paying 20 quid to go and watch this ridiculous game. So we get in there, so I say to the steward, where's the barmaid, where do I get a beer? He says, no beer in the away end. So I then spent the entire first half trying to convince the stewards to let me out of the away end and let me into the home end, because my argument, I'm not from Solihull, mate, like proper manking my accent up to make it very clear. I'm only in this end because I'm a neutral. I won't cause any bother if I go in the stop end. Anyway, to cut a long story short, they refused to let me leave the away end and to go in the Stockport end to buy beer, so I left the ground at half-time, and I think it was probably the right decision, because it was in the 45 minutes that I was there, even though I wasn't paying any attention to it, it was by far and away the worst game of football I have ever seen.
Wow.
Absolute dirt. Like, what League of Forest Green in?
They're in...
League 2.
Yeah, League 2.
Are they in League 2 now?
Yeah.
When did they get into the Football League?
This season. First season, isn't it? First season.
There you go. So it was very much the quality of football that Michael Jamieson, as a lifelong Forest Green fan, has become accustomed to. Not the usual pretty League One Bradford City football that I'm used to.
He wouldn't have made the same mistake about that beer, though.
Oh God, no! What? But is that not racist? That they won't serve beer to people from Solihull? It seems unfair. Is that usual? No beer for the away fans? I don't know. I've never come across it before.
I don't think it's racist, to be honest. I don't think there'll be people rallying in America outside the White House for that particular cause.
Brummy Lives Matter.
Yeah. Nate, didn't you say you had a bit of an anecdote?
Oh.
Me?
Oh, Nate.
Oh, no. Nothing particularly interesting. Certainly nothing that lives up to Stockport Solihull.
not much live up to Stockport Solihull.
That's a very finite list.
Oh, well, moving on then. We mentioned a lot of these earlier, but I was having a little think about some of the stranger kind of football sponsorships, food and drink sponsorships that we've had over the years. Obviously, we mentioned quite a few during Quivia, and we brought up Delia and her link with Norwich City before. But are there any other sporting food and drink associations or sponsorships that immediately come to mind and that have stuck in your memories?
Rangers always seem to be Glasgow Rangers. That is, always seem to be sponsored by a beer. I just remember seeing their kits either having McEwen or Carling splashed across the front of it.
I think they're tenants as well.
I was going to say I think they're tenants now, aren't they?
Yeah.
Was that Rangers? Was that, or was that Celtic? Didn't Celtic, weren't they tenants at one point? Maybe no.
Have Celtic had cores as well, or am I?
Yes, I think they did have cores.
What about tennis and strawberries and cream?
That is a weird one, isn't it? Why is strawberries and cream so inherently linked to Wimbledon?
Posh, isn't it?
It's
because of the scoring, isn't it?
Go on then, tell us a little joke.
No, it's not a joke. Love, you got love is 0.
Yeah.
Love 15 is basically 1-0. Sam, that's basically 1-0, just so you understand that. Then you got love 30. That's basically 2-0. Then you got love 45. That's 3-0.
45, okay.
And then you got straws and cremers, and that's a full point. I don't know. I'm sorry. I've obviously said that before I had anything.
Yeah, that was good, mate. Yeah.
Yeah, fucked that up, and I don't know.
That on him.
Yeah, like Nate said, I think it's just posh, isn't it?
Yeah,
it's an aphrodisiac. Is strawberry not a light aphrodisiac?
Is it? It was in that film, wasn't it? That sexy film from the 1980s.
I'll tell you what is an aphrodisiac: grapefruit.
In the videos I watch, anyway.
Any more food and drink? So obviously the Walkers have got that long link history with Leicester. I would bloody love to see Bradford City sponsored by Seabrook Crisps.
Yeah,
I would look. That would be my absolute dream sponsorship.
Yeah.
What would be your dream? I'm throwing this one on you. I'm freestyling. What would be your dream sponsorship for your football teams? Go on. You can put a new food or drink based sponsor on the Man City shirt. Who are you having, Sam?
Burger King, innit?
Yeah. Correct. Vouchers, please. Over this way.
Another sort of. I wouldn't say it's strange. But when you're reading through the matchday programme of an EFL club, so Championship, League 1, League 2, you'll see a massive Ginsters sort of advertisement, which when you go, when you're south of the Watford Gap, you can sort of see why that's relevant, because it's more of a southern thing, isn't it, Ginsters, rather than a northern thing.
Is it? Is it?
Yeah, I thought they did like pasties and stuff like that, don't they? I know they've branched out and do like sausage rolls and steak bakes and stuff now, but it ain't got anything on Greg's, has it? Let's face it.
Isn't that a conflict of interest? Aren't they the sponsors of Plymouth?
Well, I think they sponsor Plymouth and the EFL as well. But
they got too much fucking money down there, haven't they? They've got their fingers in all the pasties down in the fucking League 1.
In fact, I mentioned Greg's, so I'm going to say Greg's for my dream sponsor.
Greg's, as it's called, Michael Jameson. You'll like that. Go on, which food or drink sponsor would you like to put on the Man United shirt, Nathan Peterson?
Easy. I'd love to see 5 guys on a Man United shirt.
Back to Dwight York.
Plastered all over it.
Michael Jameson, Forest Green, new sponsor. Who are you having?
It's going to be a bit of a weird one, I'm afraid. So I'd have I think I've mentioned him before in the podcast. If not the podcast, and I've mentioned it on about 20 episodes of the show.
Toblerone.
No, actually. And I find that offensive. I don't know why I would. Shouldn't that go on a Swiss team like AG Alps?
Mm-hmm.
In Atletico Alps. No, I'd have the Ghostbusters chocolate bar from the very early 90s.
Oh, God.
On the Forest Green Rovers. I'd have that.
Because it's worth advertising a chocolate bar that hasn't existed for 30 years and only you remember, and there's no record of on the internet at all, other than you talking about it.
I'd love to know what their budget is for advertising as well. A defunct fucking company.
Oh,
I mean, Ghostbusters have to be fucking ghosts that are sponsoring you.
At least it's relevant.
Oh, amazing. Tell you one that always got me, a sponsor that always got me, was... Are they still sponsored by Everton with Chang beer?
I want to say they're not anymore, but they certainly were for a little bit.
What is Chang beer? I've never seen Chang beer.
Not?
No.
I've seen it.
Can you get it over here? Is it?
Yeah, they wouldn't advertise on Everton if you can't even fucking buy it in the UK.
Well, what about... Because there've been others, haven't there? Like... Etihad, are they even an airline here?
I thought you were going to say, are they even available in restaurants here?
No, sure. And we've had there are shirt sponsors that are largely in another language on a shirt on the shirts as well.
There's a load of casinos that are based in Asian countries that you just see the fucking sponsor on the front of the shirts and you just can't even read it.
Yeah.
The gift that keeps on giving when it comes to sponsorships and really sort of bizarre food and drink is Manchester United. So I was having a look on their sponsors earlier on, and I can remember one. I went onto the website. I remember from years back. It was a few seasons back. They had a Mexican crisp manufacturer. And that was going around the advertising boardings all game, and I cannot remember for the life of me what these Mexican crisps were called, and it's going to do my head in. But I went on the website to see what other food and drink sponsors they have. Casillero del Diablo, as we all know, typically Man United, when you go there, you got to have a nice bottle of wine for the manager. Although Ferguson's not there anymore, so I'm not too sure how long that contract's going to last with Ferguson not being in charge. They're the official wine partner, and of course, the official global noodle partner is Nissin Foods of Manchester United.
You got to have an official noodle partner. Who's Man City's official noodle partner?
Pot noodle.
There's markets out there to be had.
See, if you go back in the past, every kind of World Cup, every Olympics or whatever has had these ridiculous long lists of official this, official that. There's an official something of every major sporting event.
Yeah, I love it.
It's kind of understanding that particularly these massive global brands like Man United, you're going to exploit. Someone offers you.
Of course.
How much are Nissin Foods noodles paying, do you reckon, to be the official noodle sponsor of Man United? Because they ain't paying him in noodles, are they? Let's be honest. What are we talking? Are we talking figures in the millions? Are we talking they turn around and they go, "Have you got an official noodle sponsor? How about we give you 50 grand? Can we be your official noodle sponsor?" Surely you're not going to turn that down. No matter what the offer is, but it's probably an obscene amount of money.
I'm always dubious about what they generate from it. Anyway, I mean, is anyone going to Man United and seeing it on the billboard and going, "Oh, I must remember to pick up some noodles on the way home"? I'd love to know what it is. Obviously, I assume that some of the Man United players then go and advertise somewhere that it's their favourite noodles. But I've never seen. Obviously, we don't see that in the UK. It's just some of these endorsements. You just wonder what it is that these companies really do get out of it for the amount of obscene money that they put in for it.
Yeah. But I mean, you can never underestimate the sheer kind of pig-headed passion of someone who is like a 100% football person. There will be ridiculous Man United fans who will only eat Nissin noodles now because they found out that they're the sponsor and have made that decision, and because football is the most important thing in the world to them, they will live and die by that. So I reckon there's... It is, but it's the... Go on.
I think it's quite effective as well, because I really wanted to try those Mexican crisps.
Speaking of laughing at Man United's expense, you guys will be happy to know that currently, with 10 minutes left to go in the match, Man United are losing 2-0 at home to Sevilla and currently crashing out of the Champions League.
Oh no, I'm not happy about that.
I'm sure Sam's ambivalent to it.
Not the Iron Brew Cup.
Well, additional point for MJ.
Well done. I think it's got to the stage in the podcast where I reckon we should play a game. Nathan Peterson,
Yours?
do you want to chuck some sound bites on us, mate?
Oh, I'd love to soundbite all over you.
Nathan Peterson. Nathan Peterson. Sound bites.
Welcome to Nate's Soundbites, the reworked version, which some of you may have heard around Christmas time. I've been chomping on a little bit of celery, and basically I've tried to do it to the tune of various football-related chants, songs, whatever you may want to call them. I've got 7. Hope that's not too many. There's a little snippet from each one, a few seconds from each one, so don't expect the full fucking song. I'm not a maniac chomping on celery for 3 minutes. So, yeah, I'm going to play them, and I'm going to ask the 3 lovely gentlemen joining me to guess what song it is. Are you guys ready?
Yep.
Okay, tell me if you can't hear this, but here is number 1. Okay, that's the end of that one.
Ooh. Right, I'm not sure, but I've got an idea.
I think I know what it is.
I think I'm going to start with MJ on every single one of these questions. Hope that doesn't offend you, gentlemen. MJ, first song, please.
So I think that one is the popular Ipswich Town chant, We're the Horsey Blues.
Okay. I'm not going to say if you're right or wrong because I don't want to give it away to the other gentleman.
No.
Sam.
Is it Three Lions?
Is it Three Lions? I'll tell you in a second. Stuart.
I'm going to go for I'm Forever Blowing Bubbles.
Okay. Good lovely guesses there, especially MJ. It was in fact Blue Moon.
Oh, Sam!
No.
Okie dokie.
Manchester City.
Yep, you got it. Manchester City.
Well done.
Right.
David Silver. Yeah.
Straight off the bat. Right, number 2.
That's brilliant. That is brilliant.
MJ.
Right, so this one, I do actually know what this one is. This was made famous by Bromsgrave Rovers Football Club in the 1980s, and it's no more convictions, because paedophilia was rampant in that side, and one of the contributing factors, at least, to them being shut down in the early 90s.
I did wonder how long it would take you to get paedophilia into the podcast. Sam.
I'm going to say the Yaya Colo Torre song.
Are you? Okay, Stuart.
Yeah. I mean, every football club's probably got its own variation of the 2 Unlimited, no limits, whatever.
Well, It is in fact Bromsgrove Rovers. No convictions. So MJ gets 1, nothing for you other guys.
Oh.
Yeah.
Number 3.
Okay. Because I actually know this one, I'm gonna say my fake one and then my real one. So the fake one, it's actually it's a chant made famous by the followers and supporters of the Friston Colliery Welfare Football Club, and it's oh Saint him, Saint our Saviour, the Chairman, Mr. Mackleston. No, I think it's Glory, Glory, Man United.
Sam?
I think MJ's nailed it with his first one there.
Friston Collier Rovers, or whatever they were.
Get it right.
Do you have a?
I
don't want to assume, Sam.
I think it's I'm Forever Blowing Bubbles, West Ham.
Okay, Stuart.
Completely forgotten what it sounds like because I was too busy listening to MJ talk nonsense. I'll go for When the Saints Go Marching In.
MJ is leading 2-1 currently. That was indeed Glory Glory. Insert football name here.
Oh,
that was easy, guys. That's the only famous one, isn't it?
Number 4.
Yeah.
MJ.
Yeah.
That is Dost Hill Colts Football Club. You're shit, and you know it is your crap, and we think you miss.
Your creativity is astounding, Sam.
Again, I can't see past MJ there. I think it's spot on, but if I'm going to say a different one, I think that was the Carnival de Paris.
Ooh, interesting. Stuart.
Is it? I'm not sure. I think it's Vindaloo.
Oh, yeah, it might be.
Yeah.
This is after all a food-related podcast. Of course, it would be Vindaloo.
Oh.
So it's currently 2 MJ, 2 Stuart, and 1 for Sam. Number 5.
Loser.
Number 5. Hang on, let me just double check what the. There we go. Ready? MJ, which football club does this relate to in the...
Christ, it's between two, I think. It's either Bishop's Waltham Town Football Club, but no, I think it's Arnold Kingswell Football Club, and it's their... I can't quite remember the name of the song, but it's one that goes, our kits might be muddy and we might look like shit, but we're gonna kick you in your arseholes, please.
Please do remember, MJ was winning this game at one point. Sam.
I zoned out whilst listening to that. I'll be honest with you, I zoned out to thinking, what is the budget for celery on this podcast?
Oh, it's high. We've got a Patreon.
Is it Three Lions?
Is it Three Lions? Stuart.
I'm going to go I'm Forever Blowing Bubbles again because I haven't got an eye. I haven't got a foggiest mate on that one.
It was One Man Went to Moa Meadow. The
yeah.
Oh god, yeah, similar.
Hell Scum song. And on to number 6, which is MJ.
Very distinctive. Very distinct. It's the sultry tones of the Lopham Street United Methodists Football Club and their song, which paid tribute to one of their little young supporters who sadly passed away. It's oh, little Tempton, you came to every match until you died by falling down the old mine shaft, and we sing for you tonight.
Sam?
I thought, again, you can't really look far past MJ's there. Excellent rendition of it as well. It was taking me back to the terraces, welling up.
As you all know, every club's got a chant about a dying boy.
Well, dead.
Or dead, yeah. No, sometimes dying, sometimes dead. Different songs for different needs. If you had to have a more serious guess, Sam?
I think this finally might be I'm Forever Blowing Bubbles.
And Stuart?
Yeah, a stop clock is right. Twice a day. It's I'm Forever Blowing Bubbles.
It is indeed I'm Forever Blowing Bubbles. Final little ditty, number 7. And MJ, please, which football club does this relate to?
That's probably the hardest one, but the end bit I think was the famous the famous Hucknall Rolls Leisure Football Club song, which was they used to sing it when their team was sort of down 1 or 2-0. They needed a little boost. They'd sing, "You can do it, you bloody well can. You can do it, we'll show them how to score goals. You can do it, we're gonna win the league. You can do it, we'll come back from behind and we'll kill some with the goals in the back of the net and we'll get the wins in with the goals."
Amazing.
Can you just repeat that song, please?
So it's a Hucknall Rolls Leisure FC.
No, that's fine. I believe you. Sam.
Is it 3 Lions?
Stuart.
Yeah, it's 3 Lions.
It is indeed 3 lions on a chest. So that brings us to a mighty score of MJ. Remarkably, I don't know how, with 2 points.
Off the score sheet balance board.
Only one ahead is Sam with 3. But leading and winning, king of the quiz, Stuart Bullock with 4 points.
Thank you very much. Thank you. It's great to once again be the king of Nate soundbites. I'd like to point out that out of 2 games played tonight, I was the joint winner on one, and I was the runaway winner on the other. So I think we can all see that it's only fitting that on an episode devoted to sports that an athlete such as me should come out on top. Really,
well, it's true. You have played with an ex-professional footballer, correct?
I've worked with an ex-professional footballer. Yes. Yeah. I work with an ex-professional footballer, yeah.
Same thing.
And I've played football against him, yeah. And he found the entire experience thrilling and exhilarating. Yes.
Probably why he retired.
Correct. Yeah, yes. Right, well, Nathan Peterson, thank you very much for your sound bites. And what I'd like to do is I'd like to thank Sam very much for joining us on... I've forgotten the name of our podcast, on FRUK Unwrapped, the Food Review UK podcast. I'd like to thank everyone. I'd like to thank everyone for listening to FRUK Unwrapped. But this is not the end of the podcast because it's been some time. We haven't played this for a couple of weeks. But Sam, are you ready to play Sweeter or Savoury?
Bring it on.
It's time to play a game. Let's play a game. It's called Sweeter or Savoury. We pull the name of a foodstuff out of a hat. You tell us what you think about that. Will the next foodstuff be sweeter or savoury? Will it be sugary or covered in salt? There's just no way to know. But you must predict. Will the next foodstuff be sweeter or savoury?
Okay, so we haven't played Sweeter or Savoury for a few weeks, so I'm glad to have it back. I've dusted off the Northern Flat Cap, and it is filled with all of your favourite sweet and savoury treats. The first food out of the Northern Flat Cap, Sam, is Ben & Jerry's fish food ice cream. And Sam, it's the 3rd time it's made an appearance in Sweeter or Savoury. Will the next food be sweeter or savourier than Ben & Jerry's fish food ice cream? It's a very sweet food.
Yeah, I think I've been handed a good start here, so I'm going to go for savourier.
Savourier than Ben & Jerry's fish food. The next food out of the Northern Flat Cap is a Snickers.
Ooh.
It's the 4th time the Snickers has made an appearance. Are we all agreeing that it's slightly savourier than fish food, though?
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. It's marginally savourier. Yeah.
There's more salt in it. That's all you need to worry about.
Correct. Yeah.
I think this is a tough one because it could go either way. I'm going to go for...
Could it? Could it really?
I'm going to go for savourier again, please.
Savourier than a Snickers. It's chicken nuggets.
Oh, you've done it.
It's only the second time the chicken nugget has ever appeared on Sweeter or Savoury. It's not a branded chicken nugget. It's just a generic chicken nugget. You're currently on 3, Samuel, and you're about to get your 4th. Will it be Sweeter or Savourier?
Chicken nuggets are very nice. Depends what you dip them with on how sweet or savoury it is, if I'm totally honest with you.
Would you dip them in a McFlurry?
Coming next on Food Review UK.
Mate, it's already happened, unfortunately.
Chicken McNugget McFlurry.
With that in mind, then, I'm going to go sweeter.
Sweeter than a chicken nugget. Oh, it's sriracha.
Oh.
Yeah, sweeter.
Are you saying it's sweeter?
Yeah, sweeter.
Are you having that? It's sweet and spicy, isn't it? And salty.
Yeah, sweet.
I don't know.
It's sweet, salty, and spicy. It's.
What do you say, Nate? Is sriracha sweeter than a chicken nugget?
I'll admit I've not had enough of it to really say. I would think it's probably slightly sweeter, but I'm going to defer to MJ on this for once.
Yeah,
right. Okay.
It's definitely sweeter, yeah.
All right, we'll go with it then. All right, mate.
Oh, sorry, my opinion matters now, doesn't it? Fucking hell.
Not really.
Sam, sriracha, sweeter or savourier?
Curveball. I'm going to go sweeter again.
Oh.
Sweeter than sriracha. It's a rich tea biscuit.
Good choice.
Third time out. Well done. It's not the sweetest of biscuits, but it's certainly sweeter than sriracha. Where are you going?
I am going to go sweeter again.
Oh, it's Nutella.
Oh,
First time out of the hat.
Great shout.
An absolute... What an incredible... that was a chip from the halfway line, and it's gone straight in the top corner. You're on 6.
This is a bit of a run here, isn't it?
No, it is, yeah.
Is this just 6?
Nutella.
This is promotion chasing form. This.
Where are we going from Nutella?
I'm going to go savourier.
Savourier than Nutella.
Yep.
Ooh, I think you're all right, but this will have to go to the jury. It's the Oreo McFlurry.
Ooh.
Ooh, savourier.
Savourier than Nutella.
Ooh.
Nutella's incredibly sweet.
Yeah, that's very close, but I think
because an Oreo in itself, the biscuit in an Oreo isn't
so sweet. Yeah.
It isn't so sweet.
I think that's probably slightly savourier. Yeah, I think even if you were doing the ice cream versus a Nutella, you're probably looking at the
Nutella being sweet.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
I think to use a sport analogy here is what we've got here is the England goal in the 1966 World Cup where it's hit the underside of the crossbar, bounced down. No one really knows whether it's gone across the line, but I think we're all going to accept that it is in fact a goal, and I think we're going to let it go as savoury.
They think it's all over. It's not, because he gets another one. What are you going for, sweeter or savourier, Sam?
Savourier.
Savourier than an Oreo McFlurry. This is a very, very good run on sweeter or savourier. It's McDonald's fries. Two McDonald's products out in a row. That is the second ever appearance for the McDonald's fries. Certainly a savourier proposition than an Oreo McFlurry.
I'll tell you what,
which way are you going,
Sam?
I
psychopathically goes savourier.
I think I've scored a tap-in with this one, with getting fries. I'm going to go sweeter.
Yeah.
It's a drifter.
Oh, this is a glory run. I mean,
that's a sweet chocolate bar, isn't it? That?
Yeah.
Reviewed.
That is a sweet chocolate
bar. Reviewed live.
Third time. No, not reviewed live.
Was it on the Soda episode?
It was on the. It's on the Lost.
Oh
Saga
no!
episode, yes.
Nightmare.
Spent an entire day tracking down a drifter to review live, and then forgot to record the podcast. Third time out of the hat for the drifter. My nemesis, sweeter or savourier than a drifter. Sam.
Drifter's covered in chocolate, but it's a wafer, isn't it, as well?
Mm-hmm.
It is. It's caramelly wafer though. A lot of caramel involved.
Okay. I'm going to have to go savourier then, aren't I?
5, 6, 7, 8, 9. This will be the 10th out of the hat. You're the first person to hit double figures in 2018. We've restarted the scoreboard in 2018. How many did Alex get? Did he get 3?
He got 3.
Which is pathetic. So you're doing well. You're raising the flag for England, because our last player of this was one of those Americans. So you've already destroyed him. And we've got savourier than a drifter. It's salami.
Oh.
Second time it's been out of the hat. Oh, it's a savoury meat.
It's a very salty sausage.
Oh, it is. Said Yaya Toure. Okay.
I'm going to have to go sweeter than a salami.
Sweeter than salami, it's Stilton cheese.
Oh, I think that's
game over, isn't it?
You reckon?
I think so. Stilton's quite a strong.
Stilton is a very savoury cheese.
I
can't.
I think. I'd love this run to continue, because I think we were nearing record levels. But
I mean, Sam said it himself. As soon as Stilton came out, he basically conceded. So.
I've hit the crossbar with that one, I think.
You have. So that gives you, Sam, a total. You have put a score of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 on the scoreboard. That would, even if we were taking last year's scores into account, I think that would put you in maybe second or third place overall, which is really, really good. But you are sitting proudly atop of the 2018 sweeter or savourier. What's the word? Table. Yeah. Table. It's a table. It's a table. Well done, Sam.
It's a dream debut. I'd just like to thank all the fans that the atmosphere was unbelievable. I've just got to work really hard now to keep trying to get into the squad and kick on.
I'm sick. Absolutely. I'm sick of these Man City lads just running away with everything. Dominating constantly. Bring back the 90s.
Bring back the third division. Oh, dearie me.
Oh, that sounds like a good division with some good teams in. Who's in that?
The third division?
Division 3?
Division 3 doesn't exist anymore, mate.
But I want to support some of the teams in it.
Oh, you might have to move to another country to find a Division 3. Oh. We'll have a whip round and get you a plane ticket if you want.
Oh, all right. As long as it's not one of those cheap countries like Bulgaria.
Oh, might be. Bit Eastern European. Sorry,
I don't know Bulgarians watch now.
Watch?
No one's watching it, mate. It's a podcast.
It's...
How many of these have we done now, and you still not got to grips with the fact that people aren't watching?
To be honest, I was actually going for an Office quote, but I missaid the Office quote anyway. I hope no French women write in now. Oh, yeah, I do. No, I'm joking.
Brilliant. Well, that brings, with the end of Sweeter or Savoury, and Michael Jameson rambling like a drunk, old, senile idiot, that brings us to the end of this week's episode of FRUK Unwrapped. I need to thank my wonderful friend and co-host, Nathan Peterson.
You are welcome.
I need to thank our amazing, illustrious, special guest who's joined us this evening, Mr. Sam Roscoe.
Thank you for having me.
And I need to say goodbye, and I need to thank all of our listeners. So goodbye, and thank you very much, listeners. If you have enjoyed FRUK Unwrapped, please subscribe. Please drop us a 5-star review on iTunes or wherever you drop your podcast reviews. Don't forget to check us out on YouTube. Don't forget to check us out on Facebook. Hit us up on Instagram at FRUKgram. Hit us up on Twitter at Food Review UK. And do all the social medias. And if you have got a couple of quid burning a hole in your pocket, why not hit up our Patreon? And then we can maybe afford to bring Nathan Peterson back from the moon.
Just speaking about social media, has anyone checked the Club Penguin figures lately?
We're flagging a little bit. I'm going to have to get on there and do some more promoting to some of the other penguins soon.
Anyone but you, mate. Anyone but you on there.
Yeah, it should be all right. I've done it in the past.
Goodbye.
Oh, yeah. Thank you very much, people. Goodbye.
Bye.